Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Friday night, guys, and we have reached that point. Wow. So it has been a long week. I have been on all week. I told you I'm going to show up. So let's go through some things first before we get into the warning signs that your relationship is in danger. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Keith K.L. Belvin. I am a crisis specialist, and I attempt to do the best that I can to help individuals who may be in crisis, personal or relationship. I also work with children. And I show up every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it is Unapologetically Keith, which you are on tonight. Tuesday and Thursday, a literary conversation with KL. And here we are at the end of the week. Now, a little housekeeping. I am streaming on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube Live. So I cannot see everybody that is in. So the only way that I know that you're here is if you pop up in the chat room and leave me a little message to let me know that you are watching. I always appreciate it. And I'll shout out anybody who shows up. That lets me know that you're here. If you're on Periscope, remember to hit that screen and pump those hearts up the whole time that you're watching. That lets me know that you're enjoying the content. Everywhere else, make sure that you like this and make sure that you share this out. Now, I always say like, share, and support, but I'm not going to ask for your support until we are done because, excuse me, it is up to me to make sure that I give you reason to support me. So right now, I just need you to like this and I need you to share this, and I will take it from there. So tonight we finish up. Here it is. Tonight we finish up with the 15 signs that your relationship is in danger. And we have gone through the other, let me get these here, right here. Here we go. We have gone through the first 10. Tonight, we're going to go through 11 to 15. And before I do that, I am going to, probably before the night is over, depending, I may go through all 10. But you can always go back and just watch the previous lives to go through numbers 1 through 10. So we are going to get into numbers 11 through 15. So again, remember guys, I cannot see if you are there. Make sure that you leave some type of emoji, thumbs up, a number 1, something to let me know that you're in the chat room and that you are watching. But we're going to go on as if the whole world is watching. So this is what you do, because you do not want to waste anybody's time and just sit around saying, let's wait to see who shows up. We're not going to do that. They can watch and replay. And if you are watching on replay, thank you. Make sure that you, when you put in your comments, that you put replay, so I know that you're watching on replay. I will make sure that I respond to every comment that is there. And if you're watching on Periscope and replay, you can actually hit that screen and give hearts in the replay as well. All right, let's get this started, guys. Let's move on. Here we go. So tonight we are discussing the 15 signs that the relationship is in danger. We went through numbers 1 through 10, and tonight we're going to go through numbers 11 through 15. All right, so number 11 is your partner or you. Now, let me just give this disclaimer. All of these warning signs are not just what you're dealing with, it may be what you're doing. And as a crisis specialist, sometimes it's very difficult to get people to accept or to look at what they are doing. And so this is what I want you to pay attention to. This may be you doing it, or it may be happening to you. Okay, so number 11, passive aggressive or aggressive behavior. Neither one is positive in a relationship. And this can include shoving and breaking objects. You know, you want to be in a relationship to be loved. You want to be in a relationship where you feel that your significant other is loving and enjoying your company. Hold on 1 second. Okay. There we go. And if that is not happening and these things are happening, I would seek help and I would put myself in a position where you're safe. Because remember, if somebody's being aggressive towards you, you need to make sure you're safe first. And a passive aggressive, if they're playing with you mentally, and you would then want to consider what you're doing there as well. Tiff, can you turn that down a little bit, baby? Tiff, can you turn that down a little bit? Thank you. So Chat is ready. Okay, there we. Sorry about that. Yeah, listen, that's how you know it's live. But okay. So again, make sure any comments you leave them in the chat, and I'll definitely get to them. So again, let's move on to number 12. All right, here we go. Now we said number 11 is passive aggressive or aggressive behavior. Number 12 is controlling behavior, including unwanted advice, ordering, or withholding money for affordable expenses, which is a form of control. This here is one I see often, and it happens on both sides, male or female, where to gain control, it's a lot of you need to do this, and why don't you just do this, and you'd be better off if you did this, and you're being told what to do, or you're telling someone to do. You're not having real dialogue. You're not having control where your part is not even being listened to, or you're not even listening to your partner. And the finances is another one. This is a subtle one. And a lot of people don't catch on to this form of control. They don't give you money or assist you in some very affordable expenses because they want to feel like they're in control. You're not going to get that without my permission, or you're not going to be able to do that without my help. And this is something you got to pay attention to. And often, not all the time, of course, is that the man being the higher wage earner, and that's just the way things are in the country. I'm not saying that's the case in every relationship, but the male being the higher wage earner, he will try to hold money over the woman's head. But when it's reversed, when the woman is the higher wage earner, this also becomes a very strong way for her to stay in control, because she makes that, and she's going to have say over what happens with the money in the relationship. So either way, male or female, when you're starting to get unwanted advice, when they're basically telling you what to do, ordering you, and then withholding money for very simple things, it is the way to keep you where they want you. If you have noticed that this is going on with you, you need to reach out and talk to me. You need to set up a session with me. You need to sit down and let's figure out how we can get you out of that situation and get you the help that you need. Okay, so, or if you're doing this, you need to set up a session with me, because you need to figure out how to way to stop hurting the person that you claim to care about, because I see that quite often, and I am here to help that. Okay, moving on to 13. And real quick, if you're just joining us, you're watching Keith K.L. Belvin. This is Unapologetically Keith. I am on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And I am here to help those in crisis, because I am a crisis specialist. So if you have tuned in, we're discussing the number 15 signs, warning signs that your relationship is in danger. And we're dealing with the final 5. We did 1 through 10 on Monday and Wednesday, and we're finishing off the week with numbers 11 through 15. That brings us to 13. Now, I think all of us would agree that your relationship is in a very bad, critical, or possibly dead situation if there's a secret romantic relationship going on. All right. Now I'm going to get to the second part in that in a second. But if your significant other or you have decided that you're going to entertain a romantic relationship while you're still in a relationship, you've pretty much just disrespected your relationship and you don't care. Or you are being disrespected and that person just doesn't care. To go out and start a whole new relationship without trying to fix the one that you're in is just beyond disrespectful. And at that point, it's very difficult to recover. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible to recover. It's very difficult. A lot of change has to go into the situation if you're going to change it. And if you're actually living like that, if you're out here having a whole romantic relationship where you have somebody else in your life and somebody at home, you got to go through some strong paradigm shift to be able to fix things and to get things right. Now, the second part, a consistent pattern of flirting. Now, one of the things that I know, especially as a flirt myself, there's a line and a limit to when you flirt, who you flirt with, and how you flirt. When a person is being very overt with it, and they don't care how you feel about it, and they're literally just throwing it in your face, male or female, that's a very bad sign, because for them to try to spark emotion in someone else to feint attraction while disrespecting you at the same time, that is a bad place to be. Super bad place to be. Because now what happens is you're left with, why are they doing that? Well, they're doing it because they don't care. See, you can be flirtatious in a respectful way and almost in a joking, loving way where you don't mean anything by it. You're just acknowledging somebody's beauty or whatever. But you also have to make sure that your significant other, the person that you care about, is okay with it. If they're not okay with it, then it's wrong. I don't care if you want to do it or not. Because if anything that you do makes your significant other feel uncomfortable, then it's wrong. That's it. I'm a flirtatious guy, but I know that my wife is okay with it. But I also know where that line is drawn. And my wife even jokes with me. She said, "You keep playing with some of these women, and I want them want to come and get you. That's going to be on you." And I get that, but she knows that's part of my character because I love to joke and laugh with women, but I know where that line is drawn, and I don't cross the line. I don't go right up to it to see how. No. And for me, flirtation might be, "How you doing, love? Yeah. Oh, you looking good today? Okay," and I leave it alone. But I also know where the mic drops are, where you could drop a mic and be like, "So, no, you don't do that." And I also know what words to say if I wanted to continue that in a way where I wanted to try to probe for some information. You don't do that either. And in session, if you book a session with me, that's one of the things I can help you to acknowledge and see, or I can help you to stop. And a lot of it has to do with strong communication with your partner. And again, if you're just joining, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist. We're dealing with the 15 signs that your relationship is in danger here on Monday, Wednesday, here on Apologetically Keith, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And again, if you are watching on YouTube, Periscope, or Facebook Live, make sure that you put emoji or some type of number up. Number one would be great. And you put that up in the chat room. That is the only way that I know that you're watching. And if you do, I will acknowledge you and let you know here. But like I said, I am going to go as if the whole world is watching. All right, here we go. Moving on, guys. Let's see what we got here. Moving on to number 14. So it's a quiet night tonight. Everybody, it's the weather. Everybody's hanging out tonight. But this is what you got to do. Okay. So number 14. Another very, very telling sign, pretty much speaks for itself, but I will go through it with you, is number 14 is drug use and heavy use of alcohol. One of the things that happens when a person is unhappy, or if you are unhappy, we tend to self-medicate. And one of the ways that we self-medicate is the use of drugs and the heavy use of alcohol because we want to just take our minds and our feelings off for the pain that we are in, or we drink because we just don't want to be bothered anymore. Now, what this does, this impacts the relationship, it impacts work. It also impacts sexual abilities, especially in men. So men, if you are unhappy with your significant other and you get to being out here, heavy drug use and heavy alcohol, it will affect the way that you perform. So don't give me that excuse if I'm a tiger after I'm 2 bottles in. Okay, the data doesn't support that. And like anything else, heavy drug use and heavy alcohol use, it impacts the relationship at work because it also opens up the door to so many other problems. HIV and AIDS, unwanted pregnancy, STDs, anything that you can think about, and it creates a problem. And you wind up exposing yourself and your significant other to things that you will not be able to get rid of. And it is something to consider. Now, if this is happening to you, if you are with someone who is doing drugs and they're into heavy alcohol use, you need to get them some help, or you need to get yourself out of that situation while they get themselves some help. This is something I can talk to you about. Now, this is also something where, depending on what the situation is, I can help you or try to get you a referral to something else because this person may need chemical assistance. I don't write prescriptions. I'm not a doctor. Working on it, but I'm not a doctor. And this person may need chemical help to help deal with the withdrawals of letting go of the drugs and alcohol. And alcohol is a drug. They separate the two, but we know that it's all drug use. And so we know the impacts on the relationship. We know the impacts on work. And over time, it will affect your ability to have sex. It just does. And this really, really puts a relationship in a bad way. So I just want you to consider that and understand that if that is your situation and you need help, you can reach out and we can set some things up. But for me, if you have reached that point and it is very evident, then we might have to figure out a way to get you to a place where you can get the help that you need, because it won't be something that I can actually do. Hold on one second. Let me just check something here. Okay, there we go. Gotcha. All right. So now let's move on to, and there's no drum roll, which would be number 15. But before I go to number 15, and again, if you have just joined, and I'll say it again, like I said, I'm going to speak as if I'm talking to the whole world. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, a crisis specialist, and we are talking about the 15 signs that your relationship is in danger. We've been at this all week, and we are at the last one. And when I finish this one, because I have time, there seems to be no one in the chat room today, we will go back over all 15 so you can have them. And if you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you. And remember that there may be other signs, but I would go through each of the signs. Take your time and understand that there's help that you can get. And that means, if it means reaching out to me as a counselor, so we can sit down as a coach and sit down and have a conversation to figure out what you need to do to be able to repair what goes on, we can do that. And with that said, let's move on to number 15. The final one, and I didn't put these in any particular order because you may go, well, this is the final one? Yes. They avoid conversation. Let me tell you something. As a person that has gone through his own experiences with failing a marriage, one of the things that broke down first was communication. And I think that's why I ended with this one. You just get so frustrated that you don't even want to have conversation. You don't even want to talk. You just, especially if you're living in a house with each other, if you're married or you're in a long-term situation where you're cohabitating, or you're married and you're living with your significant other, and you just stop talking about anything that has to do with long-term plans, because in your mind, you're trying to figure out every excuse that you can come up with to get out of that situation. So you don't even want to have conversations about long-term plans. But overall, the communication is affected. Overall, you go, I don't want to have this conversation with her. And what you have to understand is that when people are pulling apart, and the only two things that people can do in any relationship is grow closer together or grow further apart. And as they're growing further apart, it becomes, when are you going to actually say something, either one of you, before it gets to the point that y'all are just passing by because you happen to be in the same house? You're roommates now. And that's never pleasurable to anybody, because you're in a bad spot. Because if you reach that point, here's what's messed up. You want to go out and have a relationship with somebody else, but you don't, because you're in the relationship that you're in. So you have to go out and cheat and sneak. That's not fulfilling. So you're not happy there. And you go back and forth. And after a while, you will get caught. But you almost want to get caught because you're not being satisfied. People want to get caught, believe it or not, because at least if they get caught, it gives them the door opener that they need to get out of the situation, especially men. Men don't even know how to have that conversation. Women are better at that. Women are much better at saying, listen, it's over. I'm done. I don't want to be bothered. So they just let it go. With men, they try to come up with a trap door and figure that if I can get her to kick me out, or I can start an argument or some foolishness like that, then they're in a good place and they're done and it's over with. Either way, when you reach the point that you're not having any conversations and you're not even talking about any type of long-term planning, what do you have? And it's time to let it go. So that's number 15, guys, and I'll go back over them. Number 11. Number 11 is passive-aggressive behavior, which includes shoving and breaking things. Don't let that happen. And don't let things ever get to the point that you ever start to think it's okay for somebody to put their hands on you. Controlling behavior. Number 12, controlling behavior. unwanted advice, ordering, withholding money for very affordable things. That doesn't make any sense. And that's just a way to keep you in control so they can feel big about themselves, or you can feel big about the person that you're trying to control. Number 13, a secret romantic relationship or a pattern of flirting, a consistent pattern of flirting. Please remember, if you've already decided to go out and lay down with somebody else and be with somebody else and have a whole something else with somebody else, let that other person go. Don't drag them around and keep hurting them because you're hurting. Y'all go ahead and separate and stop hurting each other, because it's only going to get worse when it's gotten to that point. All right. Number 14, drug use, heavy use of alcohol. This impacts the relationship, it impacts work, and of course, your ability to have sex. And let me tell you something, guys. Drug use and heavy alcohol is never the answer to anything. It is never. Both destroy the body, both destroy the mind, both can destroy your spirit, and it opens you up to so many damaging things, including STDs, HIV, and everything else. Poor decision making, as well as death. I did not mention that earlier, but of course, the outcome of drug use and heavy use of alcohol is death. Sometimes at the hands of somebody else, behind the wheel of a car, or your body just stops working because of the internal damage that you create from this type of activity. So please don't do that, guys. It is not the way. You're better off getting out of the relationship and getting some help. And I am here to help, and I will give you my information in a little bit. Okay, so number 15, the last one was they avoid conversation, or you avoid conversation, where you just don't talk. And you definitely don't talk about your long-term plans because you don't expect to have any. You don't even want to be in a relationship. So you simply are like, what we need to talk about the future for? I ain't trying to be here. And you start to notice it, or they're acting that way. Either way, if this is happening in your relationship, you're not gaining. And you're only hurting. And again, we know that hurt people hurt people. And I've been in a home where the two of us don't want to be there with each other. And literally it's not a good thing. It's a bad feeling. And what happens is you start searching for things outside of the house. Like I wrote a book, From Gigolo to Jesus, where I put all my dirt out there. And I let folks know the type of behaviors that I was a part of. When I found out that my ex was cheating, it didn't bother me because I pretty much had already assumed it. I had been cheating so much that it didn't bother me. I just needed to know what night she was going to be out. So I watched the boys. And then when she was going to be in, I'm hitting the streets to go do the same. I'm so happy that neither one of us gave each other HIV or anything else like that, that we're good. And these are the things that when you can look back on your behavior and you realize, thank God, I made it through all of that. Okay, so since I got a couple of minutes and we don't seem to have nobody in the chat room, but like I said, I'm going to speak as if I'm talking to the whole world, because you know what? I am. I don't know who may be watching. That's just who decided to say anything in the chat room. So let me just go back over 1 through 10 real quick as we get ready to bring this to an end. So we started on Monday, the 15 signs your relationship is in danger. And here they are right here. Inflexibility and repeated unwillingness to compromise on decisions was number 1. Number 2, selfishness or self-involvement with your own feelings and needs. Number 3, meddling by friends, parents, or children. Number 4, their friends or your friends are now cold and distant. Number 5, you're never present when you're around each other. Repeated instances of critical undermining, blaming, sarcastic, disrespectful, manipulative comments, meaning the two of you are in the house and y'all don't even have conversations with each other. And you see that communication piece comes up again. And so you're in and around each other, but you're not really there. And as the OJ said, you heard me say it earlier in the week, your body's here with me, but your mind is in the other part of town. Number 6, a pattern of withholding communication, affection, or sex. 7, arguments or problems that don't get resolved. 8, raging or name calling. 9, keeping secrets. And 10, you are both committed to financial infidelity, where you are using your money for other things that have nothing to do with the relationship, and you're actually using your money to do other things as a form of cheating on your significant other, or they're cheating on you with the money, or you're doing it to both. And I've already given you the numbers for tonight. So that is number 1 through 15. So now here's the thing. If any of this, if any of this hits home with you, And if any of this has touched base with you and you're saying to yourself, you know what, a couple of on that list I'm actually experiencing or I'm doing, you need to reach out to me and set up a free discovery call so we can sit down and try to figure out a way to get you through this, to change this direction. So if it's happening to you, let's figure out a way to get you out of this relationship. If you're doing it, let's figure out how to way to get you to change what's going on so you can fix your part of it to try to recover your relationship or at least get out of the relationship where y'all can be respectful. It's very important. What I attempt to do as a crisis specialist is address the crisis, work with you on how to fix it, and then let's create a plan that will give you a way to be able to monitor your um, improvements and assess where you are with what we're trying to put together. And it gives you a target goal too. That's one of the things that we can do. And also, I'm a sympathetic ear too. I'm here to listen. And I'm here to try to hear what created the painful situation or why you seem to create a painful situation. I'm here. And that's another thing too. As a sympathetic ear, it doesn't mean that I'm going to just fall in. Oh, I'm an empathetic ear as well. I want to hear what's going on with you. And I want to figure out a way to help you. So again, if you're just tuning in, this is Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist. This is Unapologetically Keith every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And as you have experienced with me this week, we talked about the 15 warning signs that your relationship is in danger. What you have in front of you now is my link if you are interested in setting up a free discovery call. It's free, and we'll sit down and try to figure it out. But I also want to say this. If anybody is interested in purchasing my books, you can go to my website, bravenpublishing.com. I'm going to see you next week. I want to say happy Father's Days to all of the fathers who watch me and support what I do. And mothers who are out there holding it down. No, I'm not going to give you the whole, it's if your mothers keep holding it down. And this day can be very difficult for the young men who don't have fathers. Help them through it. Help them get their way through that, because it can be very difficult when all this Father's Day stuff is coming on and they don't have a father. And Lord knows they're going to show that Will Smith clip that every person, every child that doesn't have his father hears those sounds of how come he don't want me. And that has to be a very, very influential clip of Will Smith and Avery Brooks when they sit down and he has to explain to Uncle Phil once Ben Vereen, who was his father, decides he's going to walk out. And Will tries to play it off. And I think it's something to really pay attention to, because it is what sparked and moved Will's career into a very positive way. But it also really touched a lot of young men, my son included, one of my sons. I have 6 children. And he said, I was that way. I was hating you for a while. And he didn't even know me. His mother didn't give him all the information. So it touched me when I saw it. So it is definitely a scene for the ages. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just do a simple Google search for Will Smith and Ben Vereen, or Will Smith, My Father Doesn't Love Me, and it'll come right up. So I want to say to you, remember this. As we come to an end, we got about 2 minutes, about a minute and a half. Remember this. This is my hashtag. We can fix this. Now, why did I choose this hashtag? Because I honestly believe the secret to fixing all the problems that we have are based on we coming together and we deciding how we can go about changing the problems that we have. So I honestly believe that we can fix the things that are wrong in our communities. I believe that. And I'm doing my part to try to address the mental health part, to be an advocate for people who need it, to be a resource for people who need it, to be a sympathetic and empathetic ear for people that need it. So I want to say to you, God bless. It's been a very quiet night. I don't know if the chat room is working or not working and people can't get in. But either way, like I said, I'm going to speak as if I'm speaking to the whole world, because somebody's going to see this, somebody's going to need this, and I pray that if you need me, you reach out. So it has been my pleasure. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day. God bless. Take care. Good night.